In a world where megastructures are symbols of power and intelligence, China is rewriting the rules of the game. Not with flashy towers or eye-catching bridges, but with massive infrastructure projects, cutting-edge technology, and impacting hundreds of millions of people. From transnational power grids to gas pipelines across deserts, from bridges connecting 3 cities to railways through permafrost, each project is not just an engineering feat. It's a declaration. Nothing is impossible if you have vision, technology, and national will. These are the top 10 craziest megastructures China has ever built. And trust me, the #1 spot will leave the world speechless. 10th, ultra-high voltage grid, the world's most powerful power system. Imagine a power grid that could carry power from wind farms in Inner Mongolia to skyscrapers in Shanghai, nearly 2,000 kilometers away, while losing less than 8% of the electricity along the way. That's the ultra-high voltage, UHV, grid, the most powerful power grid on the planet, and only China can do it. With a total length of more than 30,000 kilometers, it is an electric superhighway that connects renewable energy production areas in the west, such as Chingghai and Sichuan, with urban and industrial areas in the east, such as Guangdong and Jiangsu. The voltage? 1,000 kilovolts, 4,000 times higher than the wires in your home. Insane achievement. Every year, UHV saves China 100 billion yuan in electricity costs, reducing 8,000 tons of coal, equivalent to planting 100 million more trees, providing stable energy for more than 1 billion people, regardless of snowstorms, earthquakes, or extreme weather. Engineers have done the impossible, building a stable power transmission system even in conditions of -40 degrees Celsius in Mohi, a place called the Land of Death. Even Russia, famous for its electricity technology in extreme conditions, had to go to buy the technology copyright. The extraordinary, it is called China's 6th means of transport after roads, railways, sea, air, and pipelines. But unlike other means of transport, it never gets stuck in traffic. And if you are using electricity to charge your phone, turn on the air conditioner, or cook, you are probably connected to this energy vein. Project 10 is a super electric grid, but it is still just the beginning. The West-East Gas Pipeline, the hidden dragon beneath China. Every time someone in Shanghai lights a stove or turns on a heater in winter, chances are the blue flame dancing beneath their pot began its journey 1,500 miles away, in the deserts of Xinjiang. Buried deep under China's surface, the West-East Gas Pipeline is a colossal, invisible engine, spanning over 15,500 miles, 25,000 kilometers. When including all 3 phases, it is longer than half the Earth's circumference and has been called the energy artery of China. From its source in the Tarim Basin, one of the world's largest untapped natural gas reserves, the pipeline traverses 11 provinces, mountain ranges, earthquake zones, and major rivers like the Yellow River and the Yangtze. It delivers over 42.4 billion cubic feet, 1.2 billion cubic meters of natural gas daily, enough to meet the basic needs of nearly 500 million people. And it does this with a mind-blowing safety record, 99.99% operational efficiency, even in the Taklamakan Desert, where surface temperatures can soar above 140 degrees Fahrenheit, 60 degrees Celsius. The pipeline doesn't just fuel cities, it fuels the economy. Each year, it contributes over $140 billion USD, 1 trillion yen RMB in GDP growth, and sustains over 1 million jobs nationwide. The supporting industries alone, steel manufacturing, valve production, logistics, created demand for 66 million tons of specialty pipeline-grade steel, enough to build 150 full-size stadiums. It's also a climate game-changer. By replacing coal use in eastern China, this pipeline cuts carbon emissions by more than 880 million tons per year, equivalent to planting 270 million trees or removing 100 million cars from the road. And here's the part that shocked Western experts. China built this pipeline through active earthquake zones and shifting sand dunes, areas long deemed unbuildable by foreign engineers. The solution? Custom-designed pressure-resistant pipes, real-time digital leak monitoring, and an AI-controlled maintenance network. The U.S. has since sent delegations to learn from this technology. From boiling eggs in a city apartment to powering skyscrapers across the coast, this underground mega project is the lifeblood of modern China. But to the average citizen, it's invisible, just how great infrastructure should be. 8. FAST Telescope, the largest eye on the universe. Deep in the remote mountains of Guizhou province lies a giant that doesn't move, but listens. Spanning 1,640 feet, 500 meters, across, China's FAST Telescope, 500-meter aperture spherical telescope, is the largest and most sensitive radio telescope on Earth. Nicknamed the Sky Eye, this behemoth can detect whispers from galaxies 13 billion light-years away. Its surface, made up of 4,450 triangular panels, forms a vast parabolic dish, roughly equal in area to 30 football fields. When it tilts and adjusts, it listens not just to space noise, but to the heartbeat of the universe. Since its activation in 2016, FAST has discovered over 740 pulsars, ultra-dense, spinning remnants of collapsed stars, accounting for more than half of all such discoveries in the world during that time. But FAST isn't just about space science. It's revitalized an entire rural economy. The telescope has turned Pingtang County, once a poor mountainous region, into a booming science tourism hub. In 2023 alone, the telescope attracted visitors that generated over $980 million USD, 7 billion RMB, in tourism revenue. Local hotels, farmers, and even souvenir stands selling pulsar rice are thriving. Technologically, FAST defies engineering expectations. The massive reflector dish can deform itself with 0.1 mm precision, roughly the thickness of a human hair, thanks to a network of 2,200 steel cables and a motorized feed cabin that floats over 1,000 feet above ground like a butterfly on a crane. And this entire system? Built with 100% Chinese technology. Foreign experts once claimed that building such a deformable radio telescope was impossible. Now nations are lining up to collaborate with FAST, including the US, which recently began negotiating shared access for astronomical research. More than a scientific instrument, FAST is a symbol of China's quiet strength, combining scale, precision, and vision into a structure that literally connects Earth to the cosmos. When the stars speak, FAST listens. 7. Beijing Daxing International Airport, the phoenix that took flight. When your plane descends toward Beijing, what greets you isn't just an airport, it's a masterpiece of motion. Rising from the flatlands like a golden phoenix spreading its wings, Beijing Daxing International Airport isn't just the largest single-terminal airport in the world. It's a jaw-dropping fusion of beauty, brains, and brutal efficiency. At 7.5 million square feet, it's larger than 200 football fields. But here's the engineering marvel. No matter where your gate is, your walking distance from security is just 8 minutes. That's because the terminal was designed in a radial star pattern, the most optimized airport flow system on the planet. Luggage? Off the plane and onto the carousel in just 13 minutes. That's twice as fast as major US airports. Over 10,000 workers operated daily during peak construction. Yet the project was completed on schedule and opened in 2019 with 0 delays, a feat almost unheard of in mega infrastructure. But Daxing isn't just a passenger hub, it's an economic engine. The surrounding 155 square mile aerotropolis is expected to generate over $42 billion annually, creating over 500,000 jobs in logistics, trade, and tech. Nearby farms? Now, they supply 20 tons of fresh produce to the terminal every day. Need to catch a train? The high-speed rail station is built into the basement. You can get to Beijing city center in 20 minutes or to the future Xiong'an mega city in under an hour. Even the environment wasn't forgotten. It's the world's first fully electric ground transport airport, cutting carbon emissions equivalent to planting 1 million trees per year. From its smart glass roof designed to mimic feathers and automatically control sunlight, to its AI-powered baggage systems, Beijing Daxing isn't just an airport. It's a glimpse of how nations dream in steel and glass. And in this dream, China isn't boarding last, it's leading the runway. 6. Bihetan Hydropower Station, China's $8 billion underground powerhouse nestled in the deep canyons of the Jinsha River, a major upper tributary of the Yangtze, lies a structure that looks like nothing and powers everything. Welcome to Bihetan, China's newest and second largest hydropower station, just behind the Three Gorges. This isn't just another dam. It's an underground fortress of energy that took over a decade to complete, with a total cost of more than $8 billion USD. At the heart of Bihetan are 16 hydroelectric turbines, each generating 1 million kilowatts, the highest single unit capacity on Earth. One rotation of a single turbine can power a household refrigerator for an entire day. Combined, the plant produces 62.4 billion kWh per year, enough to supply electricity to 40 million homes annually. What makes it truly mind-blowing? Start with the massive underground power cavern, a reinforced hall 656 feet, 200 meters below ground, covering the size of 30 football fields. To build it, Chinese engineers had to carve through 12 active fault zones and dodge over 300 underground sinkholes, using advanced 3D geological modeling and precision grouting systems to stabilize the site. Western experts once called this endeavor building a skyscraper on tofu. China did it anyway. The dam itself rises 948 feet, 289 meters, taller than the Eiffel Tower, and holds back a reservoir capable of storing 20.6 billion cubic meters of water. That's more than 8 million Olympic-sized swimming pools. But the numbers are just part of the story. Bihetan helps cut 40 million tons of CO2 emissions every year, equivalent to planting 300 million trees or taking 8 million cars off the road. It saves the country from burning 15 million tons of coal annually. Clean, renewable, and quiet. And it's smart. Equipped with satellite monitoring, AI-assisted flow control, and real-time hydrologic sensors, Bihetan can adapt to rainfall patterns and demand surges instantly, making it 20% more efficient than conventional dams. Even the fish gotta say. Special fish elevators were built into the reservoir area to allow rare native species like the Chinese sturgeon to migrate upstream, proving that eco-engineering and mega-scale can coexist. And the economic boost? Bihetan is the core of a new hydro-industrial cluster in southwest China, spawning over 500 new manufacturing firms, including specialty steel plants and precision engineering hubs. One factory in Yunnan alone produced 176 million pounds, 80,000 tons of high-grade turbine steel for the project. This isn't just a dam, it's a monument to precision, resilience, and clean power. Bihetan doesn't scream its presence. It hums quietly beneath the mountains, delivering energy to half a continent and rewriting what it means to tame a river. 5. Three Gorges Dam, the $30 billion giant that changed a river's fate. At the heart of the Yangtze River stands a structure so colossal, it's been called China's steel spine. The Three Gorges Dam is not just the world's largest hydropower station, it's a symbol of China's sheer will to reshape nature at scale. Completed in 2012, the project cost over $30 billion and took 17 years to finish. Spanning 1.4 miles, 2.3 kilometers, and rising 607 feet, 185 meters above the riverbed, this behemoth harnesses the raw power of the longest river in Asia, with engineering muscle never seen before. At full capacity, the dam's 34 turbines pump out a staggering 22.5 million kilowatts, generating 100 billion kilowatt hours annually. That's enough to power 80 million US homes or keep California running for an entire year. But power is just the beginning. The Three Gorges Dam is also one of the largest flood control systems on Earth. Its reservoir can hold over 39 trillion gallons, equivalent to 31 million Olympic swimming pools, and reduce downstream flood risk for over 15 million people. During the 2020 Yangtze floods, the dam absorbed 40% of the flood peak, protecting cities like Wuhan and Nanjing from disaster. Its lock system, which allows 10,000-ton cargo ships to pass through, slashes inland shipping costs and shaves 500 miles off routes to inland cities like Chongqing. Each year, 100 million tons of cargo traverse its gates. What about the environmental cost? It's real. Over 1.3 million people were relocated. Critics pointed to ecological disruption and cultural loss. But in return, the dam cuts 30 million tons of carbon emissions every year, equivalent to planting 200 million trees, and drastically reduces reliance on coal. Technologically, it shattered records. The dam used 35 million cubic yards of concrete, enough to pave a 6-lane highway from New York to Los Angeles. Its rotors, each weighing 1,900 tons, were designed and built entirely in China, signaling the country's rise in heavy tech manufacturing. Today, as satellites beam down on its gleaming spine, the Three Gorges Dam stands as a hydropower colossus, a flood guardian, and a symbol of megastructure mastery. It didn't just change a river, it redefined a nation's energy future. 4. The Grand Canal, a 115-mile liquid superhighway that still powers modern China. At first glance, it may look like a peaceful stretch of water, but beneath the surface flows one of humanity's oldest and most ambitious megaprojects, the Grand Canal of China. Spanning an astonishing 1,115 miles, 1,794 km, from Beijing in the north to Hangzhou in the south, it's the longest artificial river in the world, and it's still in operation after over 2,500 years. But don't mistake its age for obsolescence. Today, this canal moves more than 500 million tons of cargo annually. That's equivalent to 1,300 freight trains running every single day, not on tracks but on water. From coal to construction materials, agriculture to consumer goods, it's China's liquid supply chain at scale. And it's doing it more efficiently than roads or rail. Transporting a ton of goods by canal costs 70% less than by highway. In one case, a coal barge from Shandong arrived in Hangzhou 3 days faster than via sea and saved thousands in fuel. But this ancient canal isn't just about logistics. It's also a hydraulic masterpiece. During flood season, the canal acts like a pressure valve, absorbing up to 40% of excess water from the Yangtze River. During droughts, it reverses flow, sending up to 10 billion gallons of water per day to thirsty northern cities like Beijing and Tianjin. That's right, reversible water flow, manually engineered over centuries, long before electricity existed. And there's more. The canal connects 5 provinces and 8 major river systems, making it a backbone of both the economy and the environment. Over the past decade, China has invested billions to restore its ecology, planting over 500,000 acres of wetland, reintroducing wildlife, and purifying once polluted segments to the point where some sections now boast drinkable water. It also powers tourism. In 2023, canal-side cities like Suzhou and Yangzhou saw tourism revenue spike by 800%, driven by heritage cruises, restored ancient bridges, and thousands of boutique canal-side guest houses. And perhaps most impressively, during water shortages in Beijing, 3 out of every 10 glasses of tap water are pulled straight from the Grand Canal via the South-North Water Transfer. This isn't just a relic. It's a living megastructure flowing with energy, economy, and engineering. China didn't just preserve its canal, it upgraded it into a 21st century fluid superhighway. 3. Hong Kong Juhai Macau Bridge, a $20 billion steel dragon across the sea. If you ever fly over the South China Sea near the Pearl River Delta, look down. That's not a mirage. That's the world's longest sea-crossing bridge, slicing through the ocean like a silver dragon. Spanning a jaw-dropping 34 miles, 55 kilometers, the Hong Kong Zhuhai Macau Bridge, HZMB, is a feat of engineering so bold, even nature had to move aside. Completed in 2018 after 9 years of construction, this mega project cost over $20 billion USD, used 420,000 tons of steel, enough to build 60 Eiffel Towers, and poured enough concrete to pave a 6-lane highway from Los Angeles to Chicago. But it's not just long, it's smart. To avoid disrupting shipping lanes and delicate ecosystems, engineers designed a 6.7-kilometer, 4.2-mile undersea tunnel linked by 33 submerged bridge segments. Each segment, weighing over 30,000 tons, had to be floated out and sunk with millimeter-level precision in open water. Some said it was impossible, but China's engineers built it anyway, and they didn't stop at structural miracles. The bridge can withstand Category 16 typhoons, magnitude 8 earthquakes, and a 120-year lifespan. That's more than your grandkids' grandkids. And it reduced travel time from Hong Kong to Macau or Juhai from 3 hours to 30 minutes, turning a regional sprawl into a 30-minute living circle. Since opening, the HZMB has handled over 150 million passengers and vehicles, accelerating economic fusion between Hong Kong's financial capital, Macau's tourism industry, and Zhuhai's manufacturing base. Analysts estimate it could boost the region's GDP by $180 billion USD over 2 decades. But the engineering wasn't just about power. It was about precision and environmental care. Construction was rerouted to protect endangered Chinese white dolphins, and bridge lighting adjusts to sunrise and sunset to minimize light pollution. The drainage system, built to withstand once-in-a-century storms. The road surface, engineered with salt-resistant asphalt to beat sea corrosion. Even the guardrails, tested to absorb collisions from 300,000-pound cargo trucks. Every inch of this bridge is infused with Chinese precision, resilience, and global ambition. As cars cruise along its graceful S-curve suspended over open ocean, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just a connection between cities, it's a declaration. A declaration that China is ready to build what the world thought was unbuildable. 2. South to North Water Diversion, the $79 billion pipeline that defies geography. Imagine rerouting 16 entire Lake Tahoes from southern rivers all the way to the thirsty cities of the north. That's the scale of China's South to North Water Diversion project, a $79 billion megasystem that's literally rewriting geography. The problem? Over 45% of China's fresh water lies in the humid south, yet half the population and 2/3 of farmland are in the dry north. The solution? Build the longest and most complex water transfer system the world has ever seen. We're talking over 2,000 miles of canals, aqueducts, tunnels, pump stations, and reservoirs, diverting 3.7 trillion gallons of water per year from the Yangtze River Basin to supply megacities like Beijing, Tianjin, and industrial hubs in Hebei. At peak flow, the system delivers 38 billion cubic meters annually, enough to fill 15 million Olympic pools, or supply 130 million Americans with daily tap water. One of the wildest sections, the middle route, where engineers tunneled beneath the Yellow River with 8-meter-wide conduits, large enough to drive a semi-truck through. That's like building a freeway under a river that floods every year. But the real miracle is what it's already achieved. 70% of Beijing's tap water now comes from the south. Tianjin's water costs dropped by 40%. Northern aquifers are finally recovering after decades of overpumping. Agriculture and industry gained stable water supply, fueling $150 billion in economic output. And it's not done yet. New extensions are under construction, including underground pumping stations, smart regulation systems, and climate-adaptive reservoirs. Environmental impact? Massive investments were made to expand wetlands, replant forests, and build fish-friendly weirs. It's not just a pipeline. It's a national circulatory system, carefully stitched across mountains, plains, and rivers. What the Panama Canal did for trade, this project does for survival. With over 60 years of planning and millions of lives impacted, this is not just a mega project. It's the largest water transfer system in human history, and proof that China can engineer harmony between man and nature at a scale no one else dares to try. One, Chingghai, Tibet, Railway, $4.20 billion railroad to the roof of the world. At over 16,640 feet above sea level, oxygen is thin, temperatures can plunge to -40 degrees Fahrenheit, and even lighters don't work. But here, across one of the most hostile environments on Earth, China built a miracle, the Chingghai-Tibet Railway, the world's highest and longest plateau railway. Stretching 1,215 miles from Xining in Chingghai to Lhasa in Tibet, this $4.2 billion mega project defies everything we thought we knew about rail engineering. Over 600 miles of the route runs above 13,000 feet, crossing snowfields, glaciers, and the permafrost plains of the Tibetan Plateau, where the ground shifts with every season. Most engineers said it couldn't be done. China said, "Watch us." So how did they pull it off? They used refrigerated tracks, literally cooling the rail beds to keep permafrost from melting. They deployed pressurized oxygen systems inside the trains. And to protect wildlife like the endangered Tibetan antelope, they built 33 wildlife overpasses and tunnels so herds could continue their ancient migrations undisturbed. The result? A rail line that shaved days off travel between Tibet and the rest of China. Over 70 million passengers transported since opening. Cargo costs cut by up to 60%. Tibet's GDP surged nearly 700% since 2006, and it's more than just a train, it's a geopolitical statement. The railway links one of the most remote regions on Earth directly to China's economic core, boosting trade, tourism, and strategic infrastructure along the way. The entire project required $4.2 billion, 20,000 workers, and countless innovations, some of which are now influencing similar projects in places like Alaska, the Andes, and even northern Canada. The Chingghai Tibet Railway is not just steel and stone, it's a symbol of endurance, of unity, and of what happens when a nation dares to dream across mountains. From deserts to deep seas, from frozen mountains to megacities, China's super projects aren't just structures, they're statements of ambition, of scale, of what's possible when vision meets engineering. While the world debates, China builds faster, bigger, smarter. At Superbuild, we don't just admire the engineering. We uncover the strategy, the sacrifice, and the silent force reshaping the 21st century. Thank you for joining us on this journey. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed this video and you want the world's best construction content in your feed this year, and subscribe to Superbuild, and we'll see you next time.